Moving along, this is a very special show, and I made a comment on Facebook that I said that I don't think I've ever been as enthusiastic looking forward to a show as much as this one, because there's so many inspirational stories on this show, from breast cancer awareness, from Joe starting a foundation in his wife's honor, J.J. Byrne, how he has inspired a whole community with his tireless work and energy, and amazing story of George the Rescue. And another reason we're celebrating this month, is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we have Brianna and Dayann McDonough. And Dayann, talk about what it means to you, and talk about your heritage being from Puerto Rico, and how much that Puerto Rican heritage and your family there means to you.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having us on the show again, this time to discuss Hispanic Heritage Month. As somebody of Puerto Rican descent, one of the big things that makes this month so important is not just celebrating our culture and our music, our food, and all that good stuff, but also it's an opportunity for me to educate, because one thing that saddens me, especially right now, is that many people don't really understand, at least from my point of view, like what Puerto Rico is, or who Puerto Ricans are, and that's true of a lot of different cultures. But I grew up in Brooklyn, and I learned about the Italians, and I learned about the Chinese, and I learned about the Irish, and it was a very kind of diverse community. And I learned about all these different people who were my neighbors and were my friends. And and I went to school, and we would learn about them in the history books. And unfortunately, there are some parts of the United States that are not in our history books. And so as a result of that, people don't learn about them. And so the only thing that they can go by is maybe what they've seen on TV, or maybe what they've read in the paper. And they maybe might not know somebody who's from that place. So because of that, they develop views based on what they see. And one of the things that is very important about Hispanic Heritage Month is that we come out as a community to let people know who we are, and to tell people, well, this is who we are, and this is our history, and this is what we have contributed to this nation, and this is why we're important. And we give them, in a very positive way, a way to also be part of that and to get to know us. And I think that is probably one of the most important things about Hispanic Heritage Month, is that not just for Puerto Ricans, but other people of Hispanic descent, they get to be out there and show, hey, we're here, and these are all the great things that we have to offer, and these are the great things that we have done here. So that's why it's important to me. Thank you.
And for those people out in the audience that aren't aware of it, you and Brianna happened to be in Puerto Rico during the terrifying Hurricane Maria. Talk about what that experience was like for you and your daughter, being there with such a devastating, scary hurricane coming at you.
Earlier, when we were getting ready to kind of gear up for the show, was reminded that today is also the anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. And me and my daughter are both Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Maria survivors. And I must say, I have never, this was much, much worse than Sandy. And it was the entire, it's like if someone, it's like if a storm came and destroyed all of Long Island, and Long Island was not connected to anything. So there was no way you could get into your car to drive somewhere to get assistance. There's no way you could call to get assistance, because the entire place was completely devastated. And when the storm was coming, we didn't realize that it was going to be as powerful as it ended up being. We were not able to get off the island, and it was initially supposed to hit on the 20th, and instead it came early. And this is a storm that lasted from Tuesday the 19th all the way through Wednesday, the entire day, and then into the following day until about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, which is about 32 hours of constant hurricane, 32 hours of constant Category 4 or 5 hurricane. And it was just, really, really difficult. It was really scary. We did a lot of praying. The water, we were on the second floor, the water started to come in through the windows, the bottoms of the windows and the doors. And then the door to the room blew off, and we ended up in the bathroom, kind of like over by the tub, which was the safest place to be at that time, praying, begging for our life, really, honestly. We're very grateful that we're here. The hardest part was not actually, to be honest, surviving the hurricane. The hardest part was the week and a half to 2 weeks of absolutely no aid whatsoever, not a bottle of water, nothing, and not being able to call your family and let them know if you were alive. My husband and my children were frantic. My son began making missing person signs and wanting to bring them to school. And it was very difficult for my family. We were incommunicado. It was just very hard. And, you know, at one point we were running out of water. We were running out of food. And, you know, you cannot live without water, especially after a certain number of days. I was very concerned for my daughter, and I started to limit how much water I was drinking so that she could drink it, because that's kind of what moms do. And I'm very grateful, I gotta say, to our veterans. I'm very grateful to our active duty military. I'm very grateful to people themselves of Puerto Rico who themselves were suffering a great deal and had this was their home. They had no way of getting on a plane and going elsewhere, who gave us half of their meal, half of their what they had, so that we could live long enough to get to an airport and get on a plane home. And, you know, I'm very grateful to those people. I noticed also in Sandy that many times it wasn't necessarily a big government agency. It was just neighbors helping neighbors, people helping people get through it. And, you know, I'm very grateful for those people who went the extra mile to do that. They were strangers to us, and we literally do owe our lives to them.
Absolutely. And Brianna, it was a devastating thing, but one happy story I think would be nice to tell is that you have two younger brothers who are both autistic, special needs children, and you had no way of contacting them. Talk about that day where, unbeknownst to your two younger brothers and your dad, you and Mom returned home to surprise them. And what was their reaction that day?
First, before we even were able to get on a plane, we had to camp out at an airport overnight for an entire 24-hour period, and we managed to get tickets on a fluke. Like, we were supposed to leave on the 5th if they didn't cancel our flight on October 5th, but they managed somehow to have open flight, 2 open seats on a plane to Orlando. And because we had camped out there all night and we were one of the first people online, we managed to get those tickets. And we decided not to tell them and just surprise them, because they'd been through so much that we just wanted to give them something that would make them happy and feel good. So we spent from 7 in that morning till around 4 or 5 just traveling 2 planes and a car from Manhattan to our house in Long Island home. And we rang the doorbell because they weren't expecting us, and my dad answered, but the first one to see us was actually my youngest brother, who looked out the window and just couldn't stop jumping up and down and saying, "Mom's home, Mom's home," because he had just been so worried, and he was the littlest and it was affecting him the most. So it was nice that he got to see us first.
That is so cool. And also, when you got back to school, your teachers and some of your classmates were thrilled.
Yes.
So that had to be a great reunion as well.
Yeah, it was really great. We went to my school the morning after, so we could put in place a plan with my academic teachers and my principal about how I was going to catch up on all this work that I missed, because we were only going to be gone for a week, but then it turned into 3 weeks from the storm and not being able to get off the island. So we were worried that I was falling behind in school. So we went and we had a meeting with the principal and everything, and I asked, can I go surprise my one friend in the school and one of my favorite teachers, who was my teacher the year before, but I'm very close to still. And she called down the kid, and the kid walked into the room. He thought he was going to be in trouble first, and he didn't know I was there because I was hid, and he had an issue with his teacher the day before, so he really thought he was in trouble. He thought he was going to get kicked out of the class. But he came down and came back into the principal's office, and he was like, why am I here? And all nervous. And then I popped up from behind the door, and all he could do was just cry. It all came out. He just started crying and hugging me. There were no words. There was just sobbing. And it just felt really good to see my friend again. And then I asked if I could see my teacher. And she happened to be teaching a class that just started that period. But the principal let me go up anyway with my friend, who's also really close to this teacher. And my friend I told my friend, go like talk to her like that you're nervous or something. And he walked into the room and started telling her that how he was nervous about something because he hadn't heard, or he heard something else. And she started to get nervous, and then he was like, but wait, I have to get something for you, like it's really important. And he came out and he was like, come in, and he brought me in, and she was trying to teach. So like every teacher's like in that mode when they're teaching, like I gotta teach a class, I can't. But she was about to cry, and she was just like, oh my God, how are you here? And all she could do was just hug me like I was like one of her own kids, and just sit there. So that felt really good.
That's awesome. Now, if you look at our sign, broadcasting on the beach with halftime Howie, but look at the upper left. It says information, entertainment, and inspiration. Those 3 words, I think, are brilliant, but I can't take credit for that. That was the genius of Joe Satriano. He's the one that said, really, that's what your show is all about. Now, have we had good information tonight?
Yes.
Have we had amazing inspiration tonight? So what's missing? Entertainment. How about we hear Brianna sing a few songs for us? Give us some entertainment. Lighten the mood a little bit. So Brianna, you're next.